a combined 87 points for Lauri Markannen in his past 2 games. Number 23 has been playing out of his mind. And whenever you play Utah, as they currently sit at a 5-8 record, that might not scare you too badly. But you have to look out for the Marksman from the mountains, or otherwise he's going to have another great night. At 28 years old, Markanen is having a career year, and we're going to talk all about it. It's about time we put a spotlight on his name. We're going to talk about his production, the efficiency he's doing it with, his archetype as a player, its value in the modern NBA, and lastly, what it means for number 23 and what it means for his franchise, the Utah Jazz. Starting off here with his production, this season he is averaging 30 points per game, 6 boards, and 2 assists. And that is very, very impressive on its own right. To be a 30-point per game scorer, even pretty early into the year, that is the kind of stature that only a few can reach. He is with the likes of Nikola Jokic and SGA and Luka Doncic as these elite scorers that we've seen to start the year. And that's some very good company to be in. And when you have somebody who's that dynamic at putting the ball in the basket, that opens up a lot of opportunities for your team. Because opposing sides, they have to pay attention to Lauri now. You cannot ignore the threat that he brings on any given night right now. And for Utah, they've got some guys like Isaiah Collier that they would like to develop. So to have the gravity of someone like Lauri Markanen right now, the way that he's been playing, and the way that that can then lead to opportunities for other guys, I think that's very much mutually beneficial. And it's all because of Markkanen's scoring ability, what we've seen so far this season. But it's not only the production that impresses me so much about Markkanen, it's the manner that he does it in, the efficiency that he brings to the table. You see, going back to the Jazz, right? 5-8 record. That's a team that you are certainly not looking at and saying they're going to be a title contender. Far from it. And in that situation, you can often have a team who might be very young, who might be very much so retooling. Maybe they're even very early on into that rebuilding phase. And when that happens, they might just be looking for somebody to go out there and sell tickets. Somebody who's going to go out there and put up a lot of points, but they're not going to do it very well. They're not going to do it consistently. They're not going to do it efficiently. And so it ends up doing that individual more harm than good, even if their box score looks impressive, because then you look at their efficiency and you realize that they're not playing winning basketball, that they are not somebody that you can port over to another team, and it's not going to translate to success. And overall, it just does the individual harm. It does the team harm because overall, both sides are simply not playing for the same thing. Both sides are not playing to win. And they're simply looking for somebody to be a means to an end. To put the ball in the basket simply so they can say they have a scorer. So they can be a basketball team by putting up points against the opposing side. But nothing more than that. It's a merely transactional relationship. That has not been the case, however, with Lauri and the Jazz. I have loved the fact he's scoring 30 points per game because of the way that he's doing it. 48% from the field, 38% from beyond the arc, and 88% from the line. He has been hyper efficient, and that's what really impresses me the most because it's winning basketball. And also, with him having such a high role on this team, being given the opportunity to be the go-to scorer, that's why you see a lot of guys be efficient, is because they simply can't handle that kind of volume, that kind of opportunity. They might enjoy taking shots, but really they should be taking a lot less. But Lauri has done very well with that volume, very well with that opportunity that he's been given. And we can tell that he has made the most of it with his efficiency. Moving on, I now want to talk about the archetype, the skill set that Markanen brings to the table. Because as we look around the NBA today, there is one archetype of player that you see a lot of teams willing to go all in on. There are really two skill sets to me that have really marked and identified this modern era. These are the 3-and-D players, the guys that you can sub in at any moment, plug and play kind of guys. They can fill in for just about any spot on any team, and they can do well. These guys who live beyond the arc and they play defense. And so, in that way, they aren't too on ball. So that allows your primary ball handlers to do what they do best, and then they can kick it out to the 3-and-D guys, and they can also lock down and play some good defense. You especially see this with the wing players. But the other archetype that has become a hot commodity is the unicorn. And the unicorn is kind of a blanket term to describe these 7-foot kind of guys who can handle the ball really well, who can shoot the ball really well, who do things that you just simply don't see 7-footers doing. They bring guard-like skills almost to a position where that is just unexpected. And when that is the case, it just opens up the door for so much versatility, so many new layers to your offense because you have this threat at that big man spot who, in spite of his size, can just do a little bit of everything for you. Karl-Anthony Towns, out of that 2015 draft class, is someone I think of as one of the more early originators of this modern era of unicorns, as one of the greatest shooting bigs of all time. Before him, we had Dirk, and now, currently, Cat's still an all-star level player, but you've got new guys coming in too. Chet Holmgren, who just became an NBA champion with the OKC Thunder. The year before that, Kristaps Porzingis, who became an NBA champion with the Boston Celtics. And right now, Wemby, the most hyped-up prospect we've seen in recent years. They call him an alien for the way that he plays and everything that he can do in spite of his size. And Wemby, as much as I hate to use this term, as much as I feel that this term is so often just thrown around loosely, truly looks to be a generational prospect as a unicorn. But Lauri Markannen, I feel like, deserves to be in those conversations. Now, at 28 years old as it is, does he currently have the ceiling that we can project for somebody like Wemby? Absolutely not. But what he does have is proof that he's a dang good ball player and somebody that deserves a lot more appreciation for his archetype in this modern league as a unicorn. I don't hear him in those conversations, and I think overall that probably comes down to people see him more as a power forward, even a small forward, as opposed to a center. But even still, his 7-foot stature, with his unique dynamic ability to shoot the ball handling skills that he has, the mobility and coordination for a guy of his size, I think overall, Lauri Markannen is absolutely a unicorn. That's one of the most desirable archetypes in the league today. So when we have discussions about guys like Cat, or Wemby, or Chet, or Kristaps Porzingis, as these unicorns of the league today, doing things we are just not seeing from anybody else, I think we need to bring up Lauri Markannen in those conversations, especially the way that he's played this year. So now we've kind of established that Lauri Markannen, he's playing at an elite level right now. He looks like one of the best scorers in the entire league. And the kind of player he is in this modern league, that is very, very valuable. But what is all of this for? Why does it matter? Why should we care how Markannen is playing? So let's talk about what it means for number 23 in the Jazz. For Lauri Markannen, this is the greatest individual season that he has ever had. And going back to his first year in Utah, that was a season where he really broke out, where he really came into his own. It never quite worked out to the level that we thought maybe it could when he was in Chicago or in Cleveland. But over in Utah, he was given the green light. They weren't looking to win a lot of games, but Lauri was playing at an elite level. He was given the keys to the franchise to lead them forward for at least a few years, and he became a first-time All-Star. And not only did he become an All-Star, his first ever All-Star appearance was in Salt Lake City. Utah was hosting the All-Star game, and it's only fitting that he made it that year. For his efforts, he also was named the NBA's most improved player. And after that, for a couple years now, it's kind of been a little bit more quiet on Markkanen's end. He's been playing solid, but nothing quite like that first year in Utah necessarily. And I think back to that year as well. The Jazz, they got off to a red hot start to that season. Nobody expected them to be doing much of anything. And yet they were at the top of their conference for a while. So he's playing winning basketball and putting up big numbers. And this season has really been the best year he's had ever since his debut in Utah. He just got a big contract extension, so it's not like he's going to be somebody just hooping because they're on a contract year. That's not the case. He's secured in Utah if he wants to be up until the 28-29 season, so that's not what it's been. He's simply just performing at a high level. And at 28 years old, this is about the age when most guys start really hitting their prime. That is your athletic peak for a lot of players, and right now he's living up to that. For the Utah Jazz, I think overall they're happy to have him. He's on a pretty big contract, so I talked earlier about his skill set, what he brings to the table, being very highly coveted among the modern-day NBA. I don't know that you could get a lot for him in a trade package just by virtue of his massive contract. Although one spot I do just want to bring up for 1 second here is the San Antonio Spurs. Imagine in some scenario that worked out, where he got to play with Wemby, and so you had two unicorns that would be so interesting to me. Because the Minnesota Timberwolves a couple years ago, they had two 7-footers in the starting lineup, in Cat and Gobert. And those two guys they were like the antithesis of each other. They played opposite brands of basketball. Cat was very much the modern big man, the epitome of the modern big man, as very much a big shooter, not a great defender, while Gobert very much more so a rim runner, a traditional kind of guy, and a lockdown post defender. So that dynamic was very interesting. But imagine Markanen and Wemby on the same team. Two 7-foot unicorns. I don't think it'll happen, but I do think that's just a very interesting situation that he could potentially go into. But if he's to stay in Utah, I think overall he has a home there for as long as he wants it. I feel like he has a connection with the fan base for everything that he's become in Utah in the way that can kind of lead to a fan base really connecting with somebody like that and wanting to see them succeed. I think of the Minnesota Timberwolves and Naz Reid, the way that he went from an undrafted player to a 6-man of the year kind of guy and a vital piece of that team, and the way that the fans are so behind Naz Reid. For that connection that has been built by seeing Naz Reid year by year get more confident, coming to his own as a player, I see something similar with Lauri Markanen. I think he has a home in Utah if he wants one. And the thing about it is, too, at 28 years old, he might not fit the timeline of a youth-filled team, and that's really the only obstacle I see with him as a member of the Jazz. But also, once again, going back to his first year with the Jazz, he showed that he can contribute to winning basketball. Going back to his efficiency, he's showing us right now that he can contribute to winning basketball. So even if you get a team of young guys and you let them develop, right now Lauri Markanen can play that role. But if you get to a point where guys like Isaiah Collier have developed, I think at the same time, if Lauri Markanen is, say, 31 years old, he can still contribute to a team that's looking to win just a little bit more. So I think, regardless of the circumstances, with his skill set, with his production, with his abilities, Markanen can contribute in a variety of roles for a team looking to do a variety of things. And I think that can really translate to some real stability. And as a fan, I'm someone who's very big on loyalty in the modern NBA. I love to see somebody like Kobe, like Curry, like Tim Duncan spend their entire career with one team. I know overall it's a business. For the franchise, you want to make the most of your assets. For the players, either you want to win or you want to make the most money possible. I get it. But there's just something so special about seeing a guy spend their whole career with just one team, because it really means that they define that franchise for a decade plus. And I always think that's so special to see. So I'm a big advocate for loyalty, and I think in the case of Lauri, if he is to have a home in Utah, I feel like we should really appreciate that, because he's hooping, so you can't complain about that. He's playing at a high level. He's playing winning basketball, too, for the way that he's doing it. And as fans, it's exciting to see guys on the move. Look at Damian Lillard. He was the face of loyalty in the NBA for so long, sticking with Portland through thick and thin. He finally gets traded. After years of us sitting and wondering what's next, is he just going to waste away in Portland? He finally gets traded to the Milwaukee Bucks. And that doesn't work out how we expected. And now he's back with the Trailblazers. And I think that's a testament to, yes, it's okay to experiment to go elsewhere. But sometimes also I think loyalty in guys just having a home, in loving the city that they're playing for, loving the team and the franchise that they're playing for, I think that's special in its own right. And Lauri Markannen, he has a home in Utah right now. He's having the best year of his career at 28 years old. The Marksman from the mountains. He could very well be on his way to a second All-Star appearance. What a year it's been for number 23.